Today I am out in Swaharo National Park and I am brandishing a Colt 35. And no, it's not a Colt 45. It is actually a 35mm vintage lens manufactured by Colt, which I have no idea who or what they are. All I know is I saw it on Etsy, I believe, and ordered it and decided to check it out. I've had it for a while, but haven't used it a whole lot. However, I do see a barrel cactus, so we might as well get started with some of the fun of this lens. I'm going to be shooting this Colt all day. Arizona pun complete. So like I said, I'm in Swaharo National Park, the western unit, doing a little loop hike, going off the Cactus Wren Trail. This is our fall weather right now, and it's still in the 80s, so take that for what you will. Anyhow, I don't know a lot about this Colt lens, the story behind the company that made it. All I do know, it's a f2.8, goes to f16, minimum focus distance. It gets down to about a half meter, it looks like. Like I said, I've had this for a couple of years. I haven't used it a whole lot, so I guess I'll be surprised to see when I check the photos later. Anyhow, as I tend to do, it's the middle of the day, not the best time for landscape photography, but you shoot when you're out there. Anyways, time to focus on the trail and look for something interesting to take pictures of. Have ourselves dead cactus, which is almost obligatory for me to take pictures of. Now there's a helpful little sign and a helpful dead cactus. It is the day of the dead cactus. Guess we're getting close to spooky season to Halloween. Well, this dead tree certainly has some texture to it, so I'm gonna get a photo of that and just kind of see how it turns out. Probably gonna shoot at f5.6. Got another dead Swaharo skeleton laying on the desert floor, so yet another photo op. Yeah, it's a pretty ridiculous cactus, so you can go the other side so I get the sun in the correct direction. Try to get a photo of it. Well, so far, I think this lens is doing a pretty good job. Of course, future me will be the one who looks at these photos on a computer and can kind of see how well I got things into focus. But from just the camera's EV viewfinder, it feels like I can zoom in and get a fairly good focus. The focus ring itself has a really nice touch to it, so always a plus. So far, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Onwards I go into this desert. One thing that should be known about shooting with a Colt in the Arizona desert, if you shoot a Swaharo cactus with a Colt 45, you're committing a felony. Protection of Swaharos is a serious business in this state. So therefore, shooting with this Colt is the only way to go. We got a dramatic dead cactus up here on the other side of these cholla. Looks like he's trying to crowd out the other one, the living one. The eternal struggle of the desert. Something I am noticing in the camera's LCD screen is definitely some vignetting going on, which is kind of a deep, the glass is set in kind of deep, so perhaps that's part of it. It usually can be fixed in post, so it's not a big deal, but it is something to be aware of if you don't like that sort of effect. Try not to kill myself to get myself in position to take a photo of another dead cactus. They're all over the place today. Whoa. Recent storms have caused a little barricade, but nature finds a way. You got a nice little desert scene here. Should make for a nice photo. I noticed on the last shot it wasn't focusing great for the things further away, so I'm going to take a picture of these mountains and see how this turns out. And these. Don't know if you can hear or see that hawk, but wish I had a telephoto lens right now. That'd have been cool. I think I have enough photos taken to judge how good this camera lens did today. I'm gonna put the GoPro way back in my backpack and head on back to my car, which is about 1.5 miles away. It's kind of warm and kind of running low on energy. So I decided the best way to perform a review of this lens's performance from the other day is just to go through the raw files on my computer with you, the audience, all 5 of you, and kind of see how it turned out. So here is the barrel cactus that I started out with. I actually think this one turned out really well. There's good sharpness to it. Contrasts are pretty decent. There's a little bit of vignetting on the sides there. But I am generally happy with this particular shot. Here is a dead cactus. Focus seems like it's a little bit better on the background, but not super sharp. Here's a picture of a dead cactus by a trail sign. Again, it looks like trying to nail the focus is a little bit difficult on this lens. And once again, I can kind of see the vignetting on the sides, soft focus on the edges. Now here's another dead cactus. This one turned out a lot better for the focus. Again, not perfect. And definitely, even though I think I was shooting at f8, it is blurry on the edges with vignetting. Here's a picture of the dead tree with a little bit of texture to it. The depth of field is a little thin. I think I was shooting 5.6 in this one. Here is a live cactus next to a dead cactus. Good focus on the center of the lens and the edges as I'm seeing. This seems to be a theme here. It is definitely not very sharp on the edges. Here is a wacky cactus. Sharp in the center, not so much on the sides. I can see if you're doing something kind of artsy, or maybe you have perhaps the portrait and you get the dead center of the lens, good focus, might be useful. I think for general landscape photography, it's not spectacular. I am not sure why this one cactus is trying to block the view of the other, but that's how the desert works sometimes. Here's another view of that. Once again, sharp in the center, really blurry on the edges. So this lens is capable of decent focusing, but it is not the highest quality glass I'm thinking. Here's another cactus just trying to be goofy. Here's a shot of something distant. This overall just doesn't look all that great. This one fairly sharp in the foreground, gets blurry in the back. Trio of cactus. Here's another, pretty much the same issues all the way around with this lens. This is one where I shot wide open f2.8. It is really difficult to get any sharp focus on that. So wide open this is not a great lens. Blurriness in the background is kind of cool, but this is not a useful image. Here's a close up of some cactus needles. Did all right. Here's another shot of barrel cactus. I think shot at f4. Kind of cool blurriness over here. This part turned out okay. The rest, So I think in summary, this lens is potentially can be used in like an artsy situation if you know the weaknesses of it, especially with the blurriness around the edges and only sharpness in the center. However, this is definitely not one I would take on a trip or for any serious photography, because results are going to be disappointing in the end unless you are going for what this lens specifically could be good at. I'm going to give this lens a D. It's not great. Like I said, I could see partial uses for it, but this is definitely not one I'm going to throw into my bag again. So take that as you will. Anyways, if you found this review useful, give a like, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do to make the YouTube algorithm like me better.